Welcome to episode 9 of the Bodcast. I think I said that for the last episode, but this is episode 9. Today we have the most wonderful guest, a man who was born in Ghana but went to Starehe Boy school. So we're claiming his Kenyan connection.
Yeah, claiming Kenyan.
He went from lifting weights in Nairobi to competing against bodybuilding legends like Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, Kai Greene, and Ronnie Coleman. This man is Abbew. I said that right?
That's right. Absolutely.
He lives in the UK now and owns his own gym and is also a qualified nurse. Eddie, welcome.
You're welcome. Welcome. I mean, thank you. Thanks a lot. It's good to be here. I loved Kenya because the reason why I'm saying that, I said thanks because I love Kenya, but since I left, I've not really had the chance to come back because life takes over and everything. So I would love to come back. So it's good to be doing. Because
it's just so great to have you on here, and we are a small podcast, but I think we have a good reach, a good community, and lots of listeners.
Still number one in East Africa, Kia.
Number one in East Africa.
Maybe the only one.
That's very good.
We should also just claim that because I don't think there's any other podcast that does fitness.
That's what I'm saying. I am claiming it, Leon.
Yeah, we decided.
But a lot of people know you, Eddie, and we've put out a few sort of teasers, and you are well loved here. So it will be really great to sort of hear your story.
We can claim you as Kenya's best bodybuilder. We're just claiming it. We're just going to claim it. Yeah.
Okay. So my story is basically simple. I was born in Ghana. I'm Ghanaian, obviously, and then 1978, I won a scholarship to go to Starehe Boy Center. And it's called, it was a girl, it's just a boys' school then. The girls' school,
internet.
Form over there when the whole, I had my education. And then when I finished, I went back to Ghana. To pursue a degree in law, and then the universities were closed. So I was supposed to do national service. You had to do national service before you went to university. And I thought that wasn't for me. So I came to the UK because then the UK was looking for people to come here to study nursing because nobody wanted to do that job. And I blindly came into it thinking, but I did it. I did the whole training. But my goal was to one day get on the Olympia stage and own my own gym. I had that dream from Starehe. And that dream was started in Starehe because it was one of the holidays when we never went home on holidays. So 4 Ghanaian boys, we stayed at the school on school holidays. So we stayed in Kenya for 6 years without going home. I think we went home once, that's it. And then one school holidays, I ended up in the compounds of one of my school teachers, David Wilson, an Australian teacher. And then I remember I started training. I did only two movements, concentration curls and dumbbell press. That's what we had. So I did that. And by the time school opened, I already had like 18, 19-inch arms. And all the boys are like, how did you do that? So I started charging people at that age, about 81, 80. Then it started from there. But then I saw a magazine with the great Sergio Oliver on it. And I thought, I was reading about it, and I realized that he'd gone to Olympia. So my goal was to get on the Olympia stage once. I thought when I came here, I was going to do nursing, and then move on to the stage to realize that I could do it from here. Plus, I prefer to say in the UK, I prefer UK better than I did where I was going to live in the States, and it wasn't going to work for me. So I settled down here. And I worked my way to the Olympia stage. Now I own my own gym in near London.
Yeah, Hemel Hempstead, is it?
Hemel Hempstead, that's it, yes.
Yeah.
Hemel Hempstead, yeah. I live in St. Albans, but my gym is in Hemel Hempstead. It's about a 10-minute drive from me, so yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
People always ask me, how did you get from in Starehe Boy Center to getting away to the Olympia? And I said, you know, at Starehe, there's one thing they taught us. There was a word called stickability that was thrown about at the school all the time. In fact, my training DVD is called Stickability, and I stole that from the school because if you start something, finish it. That's basically what it meant. And so my goal was to get to Olympia from when I was 1981. I didn't get there until 2007, but I stuck with it.
But you achieved a dream. Those weights you first picked up, were they the classic concrete on the metal bar?
Yeah, they were. Yes. So
Wow.
So you got two cans of you know, like and then you put concrete in them, and then a bit of metal, whatever. You don't even know if they weigh the same.
No,
but you just we see those videos with kids training in Africa who made their own weights. That's what we did, and it was incredible. I mean, we still grew from that.
Yeah, you when you trained, you had to do even sets because you can't do odd sets because you have to switch the weights each set.
Yes,
I remember.
It's true. It's true because you know that's bring back. Because you don't know what they weigh. You don't know what they weigh. So you're pressing with one dumbbell on this side. Eventually, you just swap them over.
They're always uneven. I remember doing some on a boat off the coast of Somalia once.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, these are great, but they're like moving in different directions.
Yeah, each side you have to change. Otherwise, you start looking, you know.
One chest out here. That's
But they work. This is the thing. There's nothing complicated about it.
Yeah,
it's a resistance. You have your load. So
yes, absolutely. You know, it's people laugh about it, but then I created my physique and the foundations of my physique from that, and it worked. I mean, it was funny because sometimes you'd be training and then the concrete would be, the bits would be coming off,
breaking. Yeah.
But it's doing a drop set for you.
It's a involuntary drop set.
You said you had you have big arms. So was that sort of a genetic component, or did you just work them so much? Because that's the only thing you'd be able to do.
I suppose, like everybody's got a body part that tends to respond a lot quicker than the others. I had my biceps responded very quickly. So in fact, when I turned pro, I actually had to stop training them. You know, my training partner all the way through my pro career mainly was, you know, Charlie Claremont. I mean, remember Charlie Claremont?
Fantastic physique.
He was my training partner for about 6 years in all his IFFP Pro, whatever. So, you know, incredible physique. You can build, you know, Charlie Claremont. Go on.
Yeah, we talk about arms.
Yeah, that's it. So Charlie had the same problem. We had big arms. That's it. Thank you. My kids always reminding me, Dad, you're getting old. So my Charlie had big arms. I had big arms. So we actually stopped training our biceps for about 2-3 years because we had to catch up with the rest of our bodies. My biceps grew, so it was visual. Even though when I weighed 9.5, like we talked about, really light, I still had big biceps. So you know, I responded very quickly that way.
Yeah, when you say like when you started, did you like? Can you still remember like your training program when you started? Like, was it from a magazine or how did your training?
You mean? Like, are you asking me about when I was in Starehe?
Yes, like your first ever training program, and you are like, okay, I'm going to do this. This is the one I'll stick with.
So all he had was 2 pairs of dumbbells, something. So all I did was concentration curls.
Yeah.
and dumbbell presses. That was it. That was my training program.
Chest and arms. T-shirt muscles.
How long?
Chest and arms. That's it. That's what we wanted. So chest and arms. That's what I did. I didn't do anything else. I didn't know there were other exercises, because this is back in Kenya, and bodybuilding was like, you saw somebody in the magazine with muscles, you're like, wow, what's that? It's freaky. And then that was it. I did 2 movements. I didn't, that's all we did.
And then legs was just walking.
You know what, legs? Legs are just too far down there to notice. Legs didn't. I didn't. There was to, we didn't even think about the body holistically. We just, I like the sensation, the pump that I used to get from the training that I did. That's all I enjoyed. So I actually got into training, and I enjoyed training before I became a bodybuilder. So I know a lot now, you see people just saying, I want to be a bodybuilder. No, I didn't want to be. I enjoyed training.
Yeah.
The bodybuilding was just a secondary, was something that happened,
True.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a nice way to get into it. And did you play sports at Starehe?
Oh yeah, I did everything. I played basketball. I did shot put. I did a lot of stuff because I'm quite sporty that way. But my favorite sport was table tennis. And no, I know that's ridiculous. Even when I came over here, I used to play like in the league. And then when I came to the UK, I was playing in a local league, because there were 4 boys from Ghana that went to Kenya.
Yeah. And
we didn't have school holidays. We had nothing to do, so we used to play table tennis all day. So we became experts. All of them, all 4 of us played for the school team.
That's amazing. There was no Instagram to scroll through. There was no Facebook to. So you really had to look for ways.
I used to write. I used to write to my mum, and the letter would take 3 months to get there and 3 months to get back. And that, so that was it. That's how, it's different. It's different now, and you wouldn't dare make a call because it costs an arm and a leg. Yeah. So things are different now. Yeah.
So for like the listeners who don't know like your career, would you mind telling us how your first show to like your last show, for the guys?
Yes. Yeah. I did my first show. When I left Starehe and I went back to Ghana, and I couldn't live there. You see, I felt more Kenyan than I did Ghanaian. I know that doesn't make any sense, but all my friends were in Kenya.
Oh yeah.
Culturally, even though I grew up, I was born there. I was looking at things. I'm like, I'd never eaten. Remember githeri? Yeah. They don't eat githeri. They don't eat ugali in Ghana. And stuff like that. I'm thinking, I actually miss the food. So when I went back to Ghana, I couldn't go to university there. So when I came over here, I started training. Now, but I was nursing, so education took over for a while until I was ready to join a proper gym. And then in the process, I met my wife. Then we, how you start, 1 minute everything is okay, and then stick starts disappearing into holes, and before you know it, she's pregnant. When we were both students, So we had a child at a very young age, 22, 23. So from then I was a parent, and I think that helped with my bodybuilding career, growing muscle, because when everybody else was going out and getting drunk, I was at home. Just, I set up a home gym at home. I have one of those rickety wheeler benches, and I used to just train home, and that worked. But when I was nursing, I used to train in the nurse's home. I used to have a room in there with a bench, and I bought weeder, those big thick weeders used to be made with sand plastic. That's it. Sand. Remember those ones? Then that's what I used to use. My
vinyl covered plates.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, it's true. That's it.
You still have some of them, like one of our kettlebells.
Yes.
If you drop it too hard, you hear the sound.
That sound. No, but you know what? Please don't throw them away. I would love to get my hands on. I built an extension to my house, and the builder came in and it took away my shed, and it threw all my old weights away. And that really upset me, because these are things that are personal. But that's what we are trained in. Then I built a bit of muscle. And then eventually when I joined the gym, I mean, I don't know if you guys know about how the bodybuilding works, about the steroids, and history, don't
100%.
But I didn't realize that you had to take anything like that. I just used to read Bioflex magazine and Muscle and Fitness, and they didn't mention anything like that at all. So there I was thinking. I mean, I'm watching magazines, pictures of Lee Haney, and you see how many calories they're eating. I'm like, because I know. So I'm trying to get my calories to 10,000 a day. So I'm eating like after one ending chicken. Yeah. So you know the story. I blend my chicken, I drink it. Chicken shakes, and I put some maltodextrin and some veg in it, and I drink it. I still do that now.
I've done it. Yeah. I've seen it, done it. I don't mind it. It tastes like soup. I always put some herbs in. I think I'm having a gazpacho soup. But I couldn't do a tuna one, but chicken I can do.
We used to do tuna and pineapple.
Whoa.
So to get 2,000 calories per meal, right?
Wow.
2,000 calories per meal. So you put the chicken in, you put some ice cream in, you put lots of peanut butter, a banana. Listen, just put everything. Then I'd put Ribena on top of it. You know Ribena?
Yeah.
And then I put milk, and you drink it, and it was like something out of it. But that was 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
I needed to put on weight. I couldn't, and
that's heavy.
I got to about 100, I think about almost 100 kilos, 100% natural. And I thought, why am I not growing? Because I'm 6 foot. And then I know, why is it not happening? Why don't I look like Lee Haney? I'm eating more than him. I'm training as hard as he is. And then eventually I realized that there's a whole lot of session that I didn't know. When I walked in the gym, and the owner of the gym said to me, "What are you running?" And I'm like, "Running? What do you mean?" Because he says, what do you? I mean, I don't know if you know about stones. I mean, you should know, of course, because you're English. But and so he said to me, "What are you running?" And I said, "I'm not running anything." He says to me, "That's a lie. You can't have 20-inch arms without running anything." I said, "Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not. The only running I did was when I was back at school." Then he says to me, "Look," let me show you something, right? He got me 750 milligrams of testosterone. That's sustenance.
Yeah.
And then two decades, and that worked out to be 500 milligrams of from 15 and a half to 19 stone in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was shocked. People were like, "Oh my God." Then I knew that I could make it to Olympia. All I wanted to do was just get there once. And then one thing led to another, and then did my time. I became British champion. And then after that, I had to I had to make my way to the Olympia stage. And that's another process, because it's hard. It was hard then. It's a bit easier now, I think.
Yeah, funny, interesting thing there, and I'll emphasize this because we spoke about it before. You actually built muscle first before you switched to using performance enhancing drugs. There's too many young guys still out there who first day in the gym are looking to take, to start taking anabolics. You 20 are already decent. You just needed to take it to the next level.
It was, but I think when you talk about steroids, the way I looked at it, one of the guys who first introduced me to this drug said to me, "Eddie, if you take this, you're telling yourself that you want to work really hard." That's how I looked at it. He says, "It means you got to go." He says, "Unless you want to compete, don't bother taking it." So to me, when I took it, I trained so hard because I thought that if I'm taking it to that level, to me, it was the next level. And it was the next level. I'd been training, I didn't take it until I was 26. So I started training when I was 15. I didn't take steroids until I was 26. So I had a few years of, and my body responded. I mean, really well. I mean, I was shocked. I didn't even know because I couldn't put on weight. I refused to weigh myself. So I had no scales at home.
Yeah.
But I was getting out of breath. When the shop, my wife said to me, she goes, and it fell off. Then I knew that I could maybe get myself to the Olympic stage. Maybe don't win it, or maybe win a pro show, but just get there. That's what my goal was.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's and were you coaching yourself or did you have a coach?
Right. Unlike what you see now, back in the day, we did all of that ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I got on the Olympic stage by myself. I trained myself. I prepped myself. You know, your friends in the gym, your training partners, they critique your physique. They'll tell you you're looking a bit flat or you need to come in a bit leaner. It was like a group effort rather than getting nobody. I've never paid nobody paid anybody any money for anything. And if I advised somebody, it was because the passion. The body was a different sport from what it is now. I mean, now it's not. It's different. I mean, you get coaches. I don't know if you know this. And then I became quite big in the industry, coaching people. You know, I had a team called Team Savage. I still prep people, but not as much because I backed off from the industry because there was an incident that scared me. You know, I had a young lad who came in and he said, because everybody wants to compete, regardless of genetics. Because now, you know how I always look at this analogy, you know, when at this comparison, you know, when you used to, you see you see a girl sees a dress, you see like Kate Moss is wearing a dress in a magazine, right?
Yeah.
And she says, I like that dress, but she weighs 150 kilos. You know, come on, you can wear that dress 150 kilos. Kate Moss looks like that. And that's what bodybuilding become. People just think, you know, if somebody can look like what's his name, Kai Greene, I can look like Kai Greene, even though they are 6 foot white and with no genetics. You know what I mean? It just that's what the sport has become now.
It's very different.
Too many young guys start now and go, oh, I'm gonna get a pro card. I want the pro card. I mean, that's the first thing they say to someone. Yeah, I'm gonna start bodybuilding. I'm gonna get a pro card.
I mean, only one pro card was given a year.
Pretty much up to not that long ago. What in the UK, it was a nightmare getting a pro card. It's like one pro card a year.
But it was good. It was good. It was good to chase it. You chased it. You know, you worked so hard for it. I mean, now if you put a picture up and you get 2,000 likes, you're good enough, even though you're not. You know, and I think that's what the problem is. Like I said, I backed up from prepping so much now because a young lad sat in front of me and he says to me, initially, what he wanted a you know, train. He was getting some train, and then he couldn't get some train. I mean, I don't know if you know what train is, but I mean, you would know. I mean, but it's one of the pre-contest drugs.
Yeah.
So he says to me, Tremblant. He said to me, can you help show me how to do a side injection in my shoulder? And I said, well, I'm not really, you know, because he's been doing his glutes and he's got too much scar tissue. So I got this stuff and I got the qualified nurse. I can do injections legally. I'm trained to do them. So I got the injection ready. Just before I stuck in the shoulder, he said to me, hang on a minute, does this contain peanut oil? And I said, well, I don't know. And then, so he said, I would need to find out. So we called the guy. He called this guy who couldn't find out. And then, so I didn't do the show. When I came home, my wife asked, I told my wife, and she goes to me, do you know, if you'd injected him with that, you'd have killed him. And then you could have killed him. And then that was, I couldn't see involved in that anymore because I was playing Russian roulette with other people's lives. And what I did with my body, I'm okay with what I did to my body. I'm not going to do that with someone else because some of the stuff that I did was dangerous. Because if I would have been able to get away with maybe with the law as far as the law is concerned, but I wouldn't have been able to live with it.
Yeah.
you'd have killed somebody. So,
I suppose that's the thing, though. That's one of the things. People are getting anabolics from underground labs that made in bathtubs or wherever. And it could be made with any carrier oil. So that's actually,
yes.
for him to go with that made with peanut oil is actually quite smart on his account, really, because a lot of people just
wouldn't think about that. Yeah. That's scary. Jeez. Very scary.
That's the right word. That was scary. That's scary. Yeah. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I remember I was lying in bed thinking, okay, this is how I make my money. And then I couldn't do my job anymore because people are coming to me. In psychiatric nurse, I recognize mental illness, but I have to ignore that because of money, and then tell somebody, ignore that. Somebody's. And I had girls sitting in front of me, and you can smell the vomit on their breast because they purge, make themselves sick. They got bulimia nervosa, but then I had to ignore that and get them ready for a show. And it got to a point where I thought, you know what, I can't do this anymore. So now my gym is more about helping the real people transform their lives and helping real people. So yeah.
And we've spoke about this on our podcast before about the issue with coaches that are quick to take on clients and say, I'll get you ready for stage. I'll put you on real low calories or whatever, especially female clients, whether there's an underlying mental health, body dysmorphic issue.
Yeah.
But it's hard for a lot of coaches to say, no, go get help first, then come back. Rather, because it's money. It's turning away money.
Yes. It's not. That's the bottom line, money. And as much as my wife says to me, you would never be rich. I said, why? She goes, you're not motivated by money. And that's my problem. I'm not motivated by money. Yeah. I know it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but I'm not. That's not this success. That it wasn't about the money. And then when I get somebody ready for a show, I used to do it for free. But then I started to charge for it. It became my job because, like, as a gym owner, I did nothing. I did just chill out. I had a gym, money was coming in, and then this lifestyle gyms open, and then before you know it, you've lost about 62% of your members because they're charging £1.99 for a year for free car parking. with a swimming pool, and a motorway, and then you have to reinvent yourself. So that's why the contest prep thing came in. I do a lot of it, but I got to a point where I found it dangerous because everybody was doing it. I could see. I think to me, what bothered me the most was that I saw young people investing too much of their lives into something, trying to achieve something that they would never achieve. Because this industry, that, is a passion thing, Yeah. So I backed off from it.
And I think there's a problem now with a lot of young people, like bodybuilding for social media's sake.
Yes.
Without the passion, just to get the likes on Instagram. So we want to be pro just to put IFBB on their Instagram.
Yeah.
So what we do is they follow all the pros, top pros, and they stop having a family life.
Yeah.
I remember a mate posting on Facebook about some guy he knew who's a bodybuilder who didn't enough mind on child maintenance, but yet was buying a ton load of anabolics.
Oh my.
Yes.
Chasing a he was never going to succeed in.
But so I'm going to do a documentary, and the documentary is about the effects of children whose parents were psychological effects on children whose parents were professional bodybuilders or were bodybuilders. So I've got, like, my oldest daughter, she's 33, and she's a counselor. But now she's at university finishing a master's. She's a counselor. And she was saying stuff like, when we had to adjust to your personality, because the personality changes when you take these hormones. And whatever anybody says, there's this myth: if you're an asshole, the drugs will make you into an asshole. And I'm saying, well, not really. you don't have to act like an asshole when you're on them, but eventually they will affect the wiring of your brain. So these people making decisions like, start not paying child support, which is an important thing, just because they're addicted to not just bodybuilding, but to steroids. You know what I mean? Because people don't come off anymore. Now it's about just say, take as much as you can and say on it, you can go up and you come down, you go up and down. You know how it is now. No, people don't come off. So
you also get that, they're scared to come off because you get that gratification from Instagram, and they also become addicted to that. At least when you get, you get a trending story or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's interesting how back then guys were leaner, bigger, I guess stronger, and guys came off, used the least. But now when guys are using more, it's more, okay, guys, you have guys with good physiques, but if you compare,
yes.
Yeah, you can even see like guys like you, after retirement, guys are still healthy, like good, but now I don't know. It's I think people use a bit or put everything to the drugs and forget about the work. Maybe.
But what do you say?
It's the accessibility. They're so much easier to get hold of things.
You don't need
to. Okay, so my job for years until maybe 2017 was to prep people, and we're talking sometimes one of the British finals, I had over 30 competitors in one show who had qualified for it. Wow. And in a year I prep hundreds of people, and then in one show we create like 3 or 4 British champions, and it was like that. So I was doing really well that way. But then I was like, even like training, but they wanted to emulate their idols they see on social media. That's it. They're not interested in training. So training is a means to it. You see them training, you can see the mediocre training that they put into it. Whereas we trained, it's a passion. Training was our passion first before, and then that's been lost. I think now you see a video, people make me look like that, and I'm like, oh no, I can't, because you're black and you're 5'2", and this guy's called Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And he's 6'2", and he's 6'2", and he's got better genetics, and that's what it was like. And eventually, people were sitting in front of me and you look at them and think, you know what, you and tell them that because I was making a living. And eventually I got to a point that I thought I'd rather just starve than do this, because it was just too much. And we got so it took me years to get to Olympia, like I got my pro card in 1997. I didn't get to Olympia until 2007. Now in that process, really different ways of, then I come up with a generic way of helping people. But now you get people who do one show and then they become prep coaches, and it's everywhere, everywhere online. Then they've lost the actual idea about bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is about going off season, building muscle, and then losing muscle, losing fat, being very careful not to lose any muscle. Mm-hmm. But now people are going to let's work on the calorie deficit. So tissue rather than fat, so they go on the stage looking scrawny, and that's why we're not getting as many decent bodybuilders like we used to. Plus, they're not giving themselves enough time to actually build the muscle.
Plus, everyone wants a cheap meal nowadays. Everyone wants it easier. Everyone wants to do it easy and not, mix up their calories. I'm pretty boring with my food. I have the same meals every day, like across all my meals, which because it's easier to know that. But like, there's a lot of people like to change it up, which is great if your goal is to be lifestyle and enjoy life. Great.
Yes.
People competing, you've got to struggle a little.
My theory is, right, and tell me if you think this is it makes sense. I looked at bodybuilding as it's a sport where if you want to get to where I wanted to get to, you had to take drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to offset that by eating properly, real food. So I want to eat Cocoa Pops after my training session. I want to punch him in the face. When somebody says to me, eat muffins, I'm like, I'm going to shove this up your ass rather than, like this. I want real food. So if you're dieting with me, I'll put fruit in your diet. I'll make sure that you have everything that you eat. Some protein powders might be involved in it, but everything is natural. It is a basic, simple. Like, people count their macros. I've seen a girl sitting in the gym, and you could see she's starving, but she's got a bar of chocolate because that fits what she's supposed to eat. I'm thinking, oh God. And then but
whilst on the face of it, all macros are macros, but actually, when you're looking at the quality of what you're putting into your and actually being healthy as you do it, a vegetable, carbs from vegetables and fruit is a lot better than glucose.
Simple as that. But unfortunately, I think we live in a world where I want this, I'm going to have it. I want this, I want it. That's not going to change. I think that's affected bodybuilding a lot, and it saddens me that I see people, because it's look, I for the drugs, for instance, I was told it's 12 weeks on, 12 weeks off. If you can't get to the pro stage like that, then you don't have the genetics. That's what I was told. So I'd give my body a complete break from it. And you need a break. People don't do it. That at least give something a break, because you can't keep taking it. I've got a boy who's in this. He came to see me. He's about 26, 28, and he says to me, "Do you know? I think I'm going to need testosterone therapy by the time I'm 35." And I'm like, "You okay with that?" People seem to be okay with it. I mean, when I have a 21-year-old who couldn't get erections, and I'm thinking, you know what? When I was, I'm sorry, what's the name? I'm sorry to say this, but when I was 21, I was cracking one out about 6 times a day. So you shouldn't.
The wind blew in a different direction when you.
That's the truth. When I was 21, I was like, I didn't know what to do with it. Like you're thinking, oh my God. but now, when you see a 21-year-old with that kind of affliction, you think, damn, you're going to mess yourself up for the rest of your life. And I say it's their choice. And now everybody, whatever you said, would say, "Oh, it's their choice. They got a choice. They can make their own decisions." So I back off. I don't get involved.
It is their choice, but I've spoken about it on this podcast before. The problem with young guys who haven't really finished puberty, people don't realize puberty takes up into your early 20s and even mid 20s. Up to about
25,
and people are switching off natural processes before they've fully started, established. So, I've always been sort of, cautioned young guys until you reach the age of 25. Really, you should probably leave it alone.
Yeah, I remember.
I totally agree.
Yeah, at 21, it was the same thing. Like what Eddie, you were saying. I was reading the magazines. I was taking creatine, and I'm like, why am I not Ronnie Coleman?
You think Celtec's going to get you massive?
Celtec,
my first tub of muscle juice and creatine, and I'm like, man, I'm not Ronnie Coleman yet. So I don't know. I guess also that too much information might be a bad thing, but then I had no idea of tren or testo. Just knew Ronnie Coleman is there with his nano vapor and this, and that's what I'm going to take.
Yeah, exactly. Nano vapor, classic. That's a classic too.
I saved up for that nano vapor.
How much was it?
Was it like I think it came to maybe 8,000 Kenya shillings.
That's a lot.
I had a friend. A friend of mine who was studying in the UK. So he came back with the parents and he brought it, and I paid him back, and I was like, Ronnie Coleman.
You're gonna get massive.
But that's the work ethic, isn't it? That you need. And social media is always a double-edged sword.
Yes.
You're just bombarded every day with these impressive physiques.
Oh yeah.
and you don't know how they got, well, you kind of do.
No, impressive looking physique, because some of them have been
exactly.
some of them have been manipulated. So they're not necessarily, because I see people work with some of the top guys you see now. I always work with them from the beginning. They come to me, I've helped them out when they were younger, and I'm thinking, well, then they don't on social media. Look, when I want to post a picture of my kids, I got 3 kids, 2 girls, and you want to one picture, you take about 100, and then one of them would say, "No, I was looking that way. Don't use that one." And eventually, you're like, "Man, so you got to edit the pictures, make sure they look right before you put." So that's what people are looking at. Everything is going to be perfect, and it's not like that in real life. When I was competing, you only saw the guys on the stage in the magazine.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That's why the shows were so popular, because you didn't have access to people, so you would have to go see a show to see them. But here's the thing: there's a big difference between being a social media bodybuilder and being a stage bodybuilder, because you can't hide on stage. When people see you on stage, there's no place to hide. Unlike filters, the right light, standing under the right light in the gym.
That's what I personally think. Like you said, bodybuilding is a double-edged, internet is a double-edged sword. I mean, I have people who come to me, and this boy, 22 years old, and he's coming, and I'm talking about his diet. He said to me, "Oh, I find this works best for me." I'm like, dude, you've just learned to wipe your ass. Don't tell me what you think it works best for you. I mean, they don't listen to you. I mean, and somebody says to me, "Oh, I've got a coach." Somebody left me. I went to work with a coach who was 22. I'm like, do you know what? I've got pubic hair that's older than this boy. So whatever they're going to teach you, I'm not saying that I'm better. I'm saying be very careful, because it'll be something that they've read. Exactly. I'm not, and it's not okay. So bodybuilding is not been studied. Steroid, especially misuse, prolonged use, hasn't been studied sort of for such a in-depth, extensive study. So you've got to listen to the old people who are telling you. And I think a lot of the veterans are not truthful with what's really going on with them.
That's half the issue.
That's half the issue, because some people are sort of either still involved in the sport or embarrassed to talk about it. I'm talking about what happened, how it affected me. I started getting panic attacks from taking that stuff, because for some reason I couldn't handle it. It just get panic attacks. I get up in the morning and I'd be like, I couldn't breathe. I'd get in my car, 3-4 o'clock. I'm driving on the M1 back and forth about 2-3 hours. That's the only one thing that calmed me down. And I didn't know what it was. Yeah. This is like in the 90s. And I went to my doctor and I said to my doctor, "Look, so what's going on?" I didn't tell him that I was taking testosterone. So he's prescribed antidepressants. I'm like, "What antidepressants?" And then my wife said to me, "Why didn't you just come off that shit for a little bit longer?" And then he cleared. And I said, "Okay, so a small amount. The way I looked at it, if I couldn't grow, maybe that's why I'm not dead yet, or I've,
Good health, touch wood." But no, I think, you look at teenagers, and you look at teenage guys going through puberty, and some of the behaviors of a teenage guy going through puberty. Yes. That is caused by surging testosterone levels.
Yes.
Now, when you add exogenous testosterone levels, there's similar things happening. It's like puberty again, mood swings and various things.
Do you know what? I said this almost like word for word in the podcast last week. So, when my son is early 20s, his car insurance is like 3 times my car insurance, and my car is 10 times more expensive than his car. So because the fluctuation, it does some things. I'm thinking, shut up, what's wrong with you? But because it's young. Syndrome where you're on top of the world, but you don't realize it's happening to you. You might not be an asshole, but it affects your, how you are. how you relate to people, how you relate to, especially children. When I was diving for a show, I couldn't relate to my children because I used to think, why are you jumping up and down? I mean, sit down. That's a 4-year-old. Why? What's wrong with you? Get up, sit down, chill out. I couldn't relate to that. And then when it come off, you think, oh my God. So like I had a lot of apologizing to do to my kids and become a different father afterwards. When I came off completely, and I'm thinking, shit. My oldest one especially, she got the brunt of it because then I was on and she was the youngest. It's 7 years between the first and second. So she suffered it. Now I'm surprised she's still talking to me.
And
that's the thing. I think, sorry, Leon. I was going to say, it's using that as their main compound rather than using like a testosterone boost and a little bit of tren. Having trenbolone sandwiches twice a week. Training it in, and it's just it's affecting brain neurotoxicity levels, and we just don't realize.
I think people are listening to the wrong people online because certain people have made a name for themselves online, and people are listening to them, and that's where the problem comes in. It scares me because people don't care about what they're taking. They don't realize that there are long-term effects. And I don't know.
Look at someone like Craig Titus. Look at Craig Titus, and you go, right, that guy was off the hook. He ended up murdering someone, possibly to do with the amount of firstly anabolics, and he started doing a load of other drugs because it's just like this vicious cycle, hedonistic cycle.
Craig Titus. I know whenever I went to the States and in my house cupboards where we got like drugs, a bit of Valium, and my daughter says to me, that's the recreational cupboard, and that's when we got the supplements, that's the creational cupboard, she calls it. So we got the cupboard. So when I went to the States, I wanted any recreational drugs. Craig Titus is the one who used to get it for me. I don't know if you know what Craig Titus is, the other, but he's some that murdering is some girl with his wife, and they're both in the fitness world, and they both in prison. It became a massive big case, international, didn't it? Yeah. I just compete against him.
Yeah, he was a good bodybuilder. I always heard he had a bit of some personality flaws.
Yes. No. My first run-in was when I beat him at the Night Champions in New York, and then he didn't know who I was because I was not very big. He's looking at the top 10. He goes, "Who the fuck is this? This Eddie Abbew who looks like a basketball player?" And you know what I'm thinking? I remember thinking, "You fucking prick." Sorry, I swear. I was so upset when he said that. He called me a basketball player, and he just never forgot Craig Titus for that.
So at the moment, are you working like with any bodybuilders in terms of coaching, mental help or training?
My right now, I work more with people with mental health issues, people who are trying to change their lifestyle. If you look at my social media, you see slow transformations that people are, doing really well. It's more rewarding than what I was doing before, and that's what I do. I prep a few people, but then I also tell them, not to let anybody know that I'm prepping them, because I tend to have a big mouth, and I say the wrong things at the wrong time. And bodybuilding subjective. I don't want one of my athletes to suffer because of what their coach said, because I don't care. I mean, I'll be 60 in a few short years, and I don't actually care. I say it like it is. And sometimes people don't like to hear it. And, I don't want my athletes to suffer. So I said to them, don't tell anyone that I prep you. So, yeah, I do both.
Nice.
But I do think lifestyle coaching is very underrated currently.
Yes.
Especially on the social media scene. Everyone wants to, show these competitors. But actually, when you do lifestyle coaching, you are changing people's actual lives. It's not just getting them ready for a stage to win. It's actually making habit changes and making real life changes, which improves their life. I mean, that's massively more rewarding than someone winning a little.
I'm lucky in the sense that with my mental health training, the first lockdown in the UK, I got a call from one of my clients, and they hadn't seen him for a while. And then he said, "Oh, I need to talk to you." Literally, he'd planned his suicide. So I met him and had a chat with him, and I made him train. The gyms were closed, but I said to him, "Just train." And when he trained, I saw the change in the man's face. It was scary. And then I thought, you know what? I could use what I know for something more positive than just getting people ready for shows and them, and so now I use it. I'm a lot more for, like, it's a lifestyle. I did mental health, and people were trying to, because if somebody's trying to lose weight and they're obese and there's something else apart from just the fact that they're addicted to food. You find there's an underlying, either depression or self-loathing. There's so many other factors. So I try to get to that, and I love what I do, because you meet real people who are not full of hormones, and you can relate to them. You know what I mean?
We listen.
Yeah.
They listen.
They know better.
They listen. Because you're prepping somebody and say, look, I was, prepping people is easy. It's not big. It really isn't a big thing. Could make a big fuss about it. It's not a big thing, because I know all the right drugs and stuff like that and everything to use. But then I'm sitting there thinking, well, is that what I want to do? Because you prep people, they get ready for a show, and then afterwards you look at them and you think, I don't like what you become. Whereas when you get somebody to change their lifestyle and they see the positive changes it's had on them, on their families, and even their confidence, and it's incredible. It's such an awesome feeling that no amount of champion creating what would have given me. I love it. I really do.
Yeah, and I think you coming with your sort of mental health background is, that's so helpful, because there is, like you say, there's always an underlying cause to something. And I mean, one of the hardest things that, we find as personal trainers, online coaches, is, we're often treated as someone's, they think we're their therapist, and we're like, we're not. We'd love to, we want to help you, but sometimes you need that professional help, and it just goes hand in hand. And you having both, that's best of both.
I okay. So I know you guys are online coaches, but I struggle with that. I understand things are different. I struggle with that, because I'll give you an example. There's a lady who I'm working with her. The first week she lost 3 kilos. It's just quite heavy. 3 kilos, incredible. Second week she lost another 2 kilos. Third week she lost another 2 kilos. And then I asked to see her. She came to my office, and when she sat down, and I said, you can see the weight going down. When I looked at her, she just broke down. There was something else going on in her head. I would never have known that if I hadn't met her. Because she's not going to she's taking photos and sending them to me. And I realized that I could help people, not just because your body language, look, there was somebody was, I was watching a video, a guy talking about those Zoom office meetings. They are almost the same as your body goes into a flight or fight mode, because why do you want to stare in someone's face? That's not a human behavior, is it? Like, I'm looking at your faces, I'm thinking, I want to see the bulge in the trousers. I might want to see that, but I can't, because you're sitting down. You might not have pants on, and all I'm doing is looking at you. I'm looking at your face, and it's and I think it's very difficult. I think so. I like to see people. I'm old school. I know there's a new technology where people can do it differently, but I like to see people, to see what their reaction is, how they're coping with it, and talk to them. So my whole how I look at helping people lose weight has changed, because I want to do it differently. I'm not saying the other way, any other way is wrong. I'm saying the way I want to do it is a bit different, I think, because I'm older.
Mm-hmm. No, but you're right. Yeah. No, you're right. You can't, I mean, you can try and ask a lot of questions online, but
it's hard though, isn't it?
Until you meet someone, there's some things that you can't tell, or
But unfortunately, that's how it's got to be. I mean, you have to hope that everything is okay. You have to hope everything is okay. But people don't always tell you the truth. You know that. It's they might be going through some problems at work. And when I talk to people, I ask them, so what's going on in your life? That's what I only know first. Whereas before, people come in, I check in for 15 minutes, it's gone. Now people come in, I spend about half an hour, sometimes an hour, and I'm like, you know what? I want to know about what's going on in the head, what's going on, how it's back. And then makes them realize that you're trying to help them holistically rather than just lose weight. It's good for my profile if you look good, because I've been there, done that. I've created so many champions. I've got nothing to prove. So I want to help the real people now, and I love that. I really do.
Have you seen a big change, especially in the UK, with like the COVID lockdowns? Like, you know, some of your clients, like mental health strain, and how it's affecting them in progress and everything else.
Do you know, it's so sad. I know so many people who are not handling it well at all. You know, their mental health is taking a big dive. You know, I've got a young lad who suffers from bulimia. It's gone worse. I know another lady who suffers from anorexia. But I talk to these people, and I think I'm hoping that we open as soon as possible, because I don't know how much longer some of them are going to take this, and I don't know how long the psychological effects of it is going to be with them afterwards. Because some of them, I know somebody who's been so paranoid, hasn't left the house since March last year, and it's scary.
It's sad because for a lot of people, the gym, you know, I go to the gym, I have my headphones on, I train. Right? That's why I built a gym at home and I'm fine with that. But for a lot of people, it is their social interaction for the day.
Yes.
And we may go home to an empty flat, but when we go to the gym, we talk to everyone, and that's their interaction.
Yes. It's just important. I think the gym is an environment where, you know, like my gym, I've deliberately I've made it into an old school gym where when they come in there, everybody knows I know everybody's name in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, people come in and I want to welcome them myself, and I want to know when my personality is in the gym. I'm a kidder. So when you come in there, it doesn't feel like we're being serious. It's always, everybody's taking the piss constantly. And I love it, the atmosphere, because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when it became all about just competitors, I lost that. People come in and there's no that personal, bang, you're gone. You just take their money, look at them 15 minutes and then check them in, and I can't do that anymore. So people come in and you spend time with them, you talk to them. My staff are supposed to know everybody's name. They're supposed to interact with people. And I like the environment when you come in and everybody knows your name. You know, that song in Cheers, it says, sometimes you want to go where everyone knows your name. I love that. And so people come in, so it's nice. It's good for mental health, you know. So Shine James has not been kind to so many people.
And I think that's the thing, like there's the world's changed so much in the last 10, 20 years, whatever, where communities don't exist so much now. So gyms create smaller communities, and you know, and when you break that up in other clubs, like, you know, I played a lot of rugby clubs, most of them have had to shut, and you know, all these things create smaller communities so people do feel like they belong to something. And when that's gone, I always say humans, no matter how antisocial you are, you're still a social being. There's at some point you will need to have interaction with someone. And I think when you take that away, it really does affect someone's mental health.
Absolutely, yeah,
big time.
I mean, so I know you guys live in Kenya. You know, what is it like in Kenya with the lockdown and all of that? I mean, how is Kenya handling the COVID?
Oh, jeez.
It was tough to start with, but I think it's now almost like business as usual now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Look, you if you came here, you wouldn't be able to tell that there's a curfew, to be honest.
That's it.
Really?
It's a nighttime curfew, and you go to shops and we take your temperature before you go into a shop.
Yeah.
You wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, it's okay.
But there's a bit like flaws, like, because if you like when we go shopping, we park at the basement. But if you come walking in, they'll check your temperature. But if you go park in the basement, you know.
But the gyms are open. Everything is open. Restaurants been open for a long time.
Yeah, but how are the cases?
Low.
Is it? I mean,
Kenya's low.
They're rising at the moment, but
thing is, they are rising, so they're very much on the cycle. But I have to do reports on this for work every week. The fact is, the rates compared to the UK are so minuscule. Like rise in cases. You know, we're talking less than 2,000 deaths in Kenya in the year. So I think Tom's probably calling him.
No, I think somebody's trying to call me. Let me just.
No worries.
I'm here.
Yeah, so it's relatively low. So it is business as usual in a lot of I'm back in the UK as of yesterday. I flew back in yesterday. So I'm now in quarantine. I've had to do
how long?
a COVID test before I flew. I've got 2 tests to do. I've got a pack of tests that I had to pay for the government. So I'll do 2 more tests. And then, you know, it's so that side, traveling wise, is still a nightmare. But the actual living in Kenya, I live actually out of Nairobi. I live in Naivasha. So I've got my little farm there. I built a gym on the farm, and it's all good.
But what made you live in? I mean, I've always said one of the best places I ever went to was Kenya. I loved it. When I was heartbroken when I left Starehe Boy Center, because I was the captain of the school. I was doing really well. Starehe, and Starehe, to be a captain of the school in Starehe was a big thing. And so, I loved my time in Kenya. Like most of my friends are in Kenyan. I mean, you may know like Peter Kenneth. You know who Peter Kenneth is?
MP Peter Kenneth.
He was my best friend in school. So like
I invite you over.
I didn't. He's asked me so many times to come over. He's got places in but I mean, like there's he's a really good friend of mine. He was a friend of mine at school. So I think it was a couple of years or a year below me, but we're friends. And a couple of times when he's come here, we've met up and gone for a meal. It's actually quite nice. But so I mean, I love Kenya. I was devastated when I had to leave. Because I realized I couldn't go to university in Kenya because I was a foreign student. But that's one place that I said, if I had a chance, I'd go take my family. Not necessarily Ghana, but Kenya. Isn't that sad?
Come to Kenya. You can come via the farm. You can come stay up on the farm and see Lake Naivasha and all the animals.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it? Kenya is a beautiful country.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot,
Has it?
Changes fast.
Nairobi, especially the development in Nairobi, is just non-stop.
Has it changed a lot?
But outside of Nairobi, it's still the changes are for the better. I would say roads are better, although there's always building work on roads.
If you came to Nairobi, you'd definitely get lost. I'm certain.
No, I probably would. I mean, because I left Kenya in 1984. So that was a long time ago. And I've been there since. I mean, at the same time, I'm in so many Facebook and WhatsApp groups, like a diaspora, where there's about nearly hundreds of people from the school, and there are a lot of high achievers from the school. I'll tell you that much. You're talking to doctors and all over the world, and it's really good to see. You know, it's really good to see. You know, that's my country. I mean, I always say, even though I'm Ghanaian, I feel more Kenyan than I do.
And as I say, Kenya's claiming you because they're best ever bodybuilder.
It's my. I mean, even though I've been in here the longest. I mean, I've been in here since '85, but Kenya was the country that made me into a man. If you know what I mean. It's a country that made me into a man. So I've got a lot of respect for the Kenyan and culture, and I loved it. I loved it in Kenya. You know, there used to be a hotel called New Stanley.
Stanley,
in Nairobi. Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there. It's still called the New Stanley. It's just called the Stanley now.
Okay, so do you know something, right? I'm pretty sure I saw Barack Obama there because I read it in this. I remember looking at somebody similar, thinking, bloody hell, he's quite tall. In the 80s, because it says it in his book, which we used to go there quite a lot. And hang about outside New Stanley. And I'm pretty sure I saw Barack Obama there, you know, because in his book he says that it was around the same time when he used to go to Kenya. That's in the Stanley Hotel. I remember we saw him, and I was discussing that with Peter Kenneth, and we were sure we saw him there. We didn't know he was. All we knew was that he was somebody who had fancy clothes and didn't speak with our accent, and we think we're jealous. That's it. That's why I remember him.
You should come down safari, do a seminar, mental bodybuilding and
that would be amazing.
lifestyle, or
I mean, the school. I mean, Peter Kennett's always said to me, look, because he will run for presidency again. You know that Peter won't give up. You know
he won't give up. He shouldn't give up. It's a stickability. Is that what we're saying? Stickability.
Absolutely, stickability. If you ask everybody from Starehe Boy Center, that's one. Okay, the school's motto is not to language you just aim higher. But then there's stickability was a word that was always thrown around. If you start something, finish it, stick with it, persevere. That's what I was taught, and that will always stay with me.
Yeah, I like it.
We need more of that these days.
Oh yeah.
I mean, now everybody wants a quick fix, and now I don't know quick fixes, because quick fixes don't work, don't they?
If it doesn't work after 3 days, you're done.
Long term, yeah.
Diet doesn't work.
The diet doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. People want it now. I mean, I insist on, if somebody wants to prep with me, you're going to eat natural foods. If you don't want to eat natural foods, don't come to me. Absolutely, I don't care. And people are like, but let's be a bit more flexible, because I want to eat a bagel. I'm like, you can eat a bagel after the show. But if you're working with me, you can eat. You're going to eat proper natural foods, and I don't budge on that. You know, they say Eddie's old school. I don't care.
Like Rice Krispie cakes. You
oh my God!
Show, right backstage, chewing Rice Krispie cakes.
Yeah, I know. They're horrible, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't like them actually.
But we the means to, I always carb loaded on rice cakes because they're quite dry, aren't they? And they can really dry you out.
Of your rice cake and peanut butter.
I was gonna say peanut butter, made gummy.
You can barely get it down.
I know, and you're chewing, and your tongue is so dry. But then you do what you're gonna do, don't you? You do what you have to do.
I guess those are the beauties of prep that not many people understand. So.
It's not getting ready for a show. It's not really that healthy when you think about it. In terms of health, it is healthy because you're reducing your body fat and you're still training quite as hard, and it's just crazy. But it's what we do.
Like that, like in your era of competing, people used to do a lot more shows. Now people do one show a year, maybe two, max. When sort of that late 90s, early 2000s, there were the Grand Prix circuits, and every week you'd see a bodybuilder on stage. That must have been quite hard to continually prep, especially on the body, like continually trying to hit your mark almost week after week.
I always say, if you look on social media, there is a picture of there's Ronnie Coleman, there's Jay Cutler and I in the picture. There's a few, you see that. Now, we competed. So what happened was when we did 3 shows in one weekend. Wow. So on Friday, we competed in Austria, okay? So straight after the show, you finish the show, and then you go to the competitors, sort of the athletes, the public pay to come and eat with you, meet the athletes, where they get charged 150 euros. You don't get any of it, but you got to be there.
Yeah.
So you go to the meeting, and then you're back in your room at about 11, 12 midnight, and then you're back in the plane for 4 o'clock, straight to 4 in the morning. You fly to Romania, then you compete in Romania, and then same thing, you fly to Holland, and then competed in Holland. 3 shows, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in 3 different countries. Okay, and I was only 4 athletes did that. Me, Ronnie, Jay, and Hidetada Yamagishi.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and it was the most grueling weekend ever. Honestly, I needed a week to actually just not do anything, not even get off the sofa, because it was brutal. But I learned a lot about my body then. Of doing so many shows, and the only problem is that you end up being on the course for a lot longer than you want to.
Yeah.
And that in itself, and because I don't like that, and that used to affect me. But yeah, doing a lot of shows, it was easy to take its toll on your body sometimes.
Yeah, like traveling, trying to be on prep, travel.
Oh, I know.
Not get any water retention on the plane and hit your mark.
I know.
I'm not nice to people.
Pardon?
And then be nice to the
to
public.
people who want to meet you.
I know. And they got to smile and sign the autographs. But the good thing is that, I mean, I used to, there's a story I always tell. I was I was coming back from LA after the Ironman, and I get to the airport. I'd eaten so much food. Literally, I stayed there for 2 days. You know what? We used to deplete. So after the show, you'd blow up. You'd put on about like 10 kilos in 3 days. You know, it was insane. So I'm walking through the airport, and there was this group of people, they were screaming, Ronnie, Ronnie, Ronnie. And I'm thinking, I'm not bloody Ronnie. And in my head, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to make this. I kept saying, I'm not running. Then eventually I thought, hang on, I know what your problem is. You think all these brothers, all the black people look the same, don't you? So I'm going to make you pay for it. So I said, yes, I am Ronnie. And I started signing my picture, Ronnie Coleman, at the bottom of it. You know, like there's a bloody queue at the airport, right? Taking photos. And I sold all my pictures, right? And I bought a pair of trainers at the airport, this Air Max. And then recently I put the picture on social media. I'm like, I told the story. I'm like, Ronnie, I'm sorry I used you. If you want your trainers, you can have them back.
You loved it though. That is a funny thing. People probably still have those photos. That story of the day we met Ronnie Coleman in the airport.
I know. I know. I wrote about it because it was funny. It is funny. They're probably going around saying that Ronnie. And you know what? I was in Romania. They say when I competed in Romania, everywhere I went, Ronnie. I'm like,
just take it.
Like, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't have this whatever. But if you think I'm Ronnie, there's a picture. You want to take a picture? You buy my picture. Then we just sell our picture. So
yeah,
I had to write Ronnie Coleman on the picture and sell it. Why not? They're probably now displaying the picture, going, "Oh, that's Ronnie." And somebody's telling me, "That's not Ronnie."
That's funny. But, so you've competed against a lot of top names over the years. Who's the most impressive physique in person? Was
Flex
it
Wheeler?
Oh, Flex Wheeler, yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I can't. I didn't answer that question before you ever asked me. Yeah. The most shocking physique I ever saw was Ronnie Coleman, and then later on it became Kai Greene. Okay, yeah. Most I ever those two toss up, but then I go for Ronnie because Ronnie was just immense. But then Flex Wheeler, first time I saw Flex Wheeler in clothes, I thought, is that Flex Wheeler? He didn't even look like he trained. He looked like, and then when he took his clothes off, I remember thinking, oh my God, that man just looked incredible. And he wasn't that heavy.
Yeah.
His physique was so beautiful. And I mean, I'm a straight man. That physique would have turned me. Do you know what I mean? No, but do you know what I mean? He was so beautiful.
Do you have that proportions, the symmetry?
Absolutely, yeah. And the way he presented it, the way he presented himself as well, I remember thinking, wow, and it was incredible. But, there are consequences. I mean, he's lost a leg, hasn't he? And he's got a lot of poor health. And so it's very sad. I just wish him well. But it was the most impressive physique I ever competed against, without a doubt.
We had Samson Dowder on the other week. Yeah. And we were talking about posing and it seeming to be the presentation element seeming to be a bit lost nowadays. When you started, I think you still have the likes of Flex and, Lee Labrada and people like this.
Yes.
Who were really good posers. Is that
Barry DeMay? Oh, that's just gone. No, even the way they stand on stage, like we used to stand with our feet straight but now they stand. I said this because of whatever. People look. A lot of the pros that I see, the big pro shows, they look like blocks of cheese when they stand. But no, you see, they are like. And I'm thinking, what is this? I'm used to that symmetry where we try to make your waist look as small as possible. Yeah. And the rule was, this is the rule when I was competing. One of your legs has to be bigger than your waist.
Yeah,
you understand? So your leg has to be bigger than one leg. That was the rule. Okay. So that was the training. We trained with belts. We used to do this twists. Remember Lee Haney doing with the broomstick? They do lots of twists, and we wouldn't do movements like deadlifts because they're taking that waist. We used to just train to get that symmetry and get a waist that's small. So I was on stage with 28-inch waist, and people were like, "Oh my God, how did you do that? It was that small," because I worked at it. Because you had to get a leg bigger. But then now it's gone.
But I still agree with that. Like, but then again, you got classic now. I think that's still
that's better. I love
classic.
that.
Yeah, and that's why we've had to bring in classic because I'm lucky. I've actually got a tiny waist anyway when I compete.
Yes.
But and my legs are actually bigger than my upper body. But I find if you look at someone like Arnie, he was clever. People didn't realize how wide Arnie's waist was because he would never stand front on.
Never.
And I think
presentation is important. Presentation is
important. I was
important.
going to say, it's a presentation. Now you've got some guys, we stand there and the obliques are like this wide each side.
Yeah, I know.
Waist. And then the distended stomach issue, and I think, people piling food in, kind of blowing it all out.
I call it the cheddar cheese effect, because it's like they said, honestly, you don't see it's just straight up and down, and I'm thinking, dude, but then they're being rewarded, so why should they
exactly
change that? I look at the classic, the guy who won the classic, is it Chris Bumstead? He just, I'm looking at him and thinking, you see, that would have made me get back to the bodybuilding, not how he looked. I like the symmetry and how he presented. But I'm sorry, it seems a bit anti-bodybuilding, but I don't look at Mr. Olympia now, and he doesn't motivate me. To me, that's too much. He's just taking it to a different level.
Me and Leon are very much into classic.
Yeah.
And we always talk like the Open's impressive because the guys are so big.
Yeah.
And that's impressive as in it's amazing they're so big.
Yeah.
But actually to watch, I'd rather watch classic all day. I think physiques this year, Rough Diesel in 2. You've got Chris Bumstead and you've got Terence Ruffin in 2. They've both got beautiful physiques.
Yeah.
Symmetry.
I mean,
and
to me, let's forget about the looks for a minute. What do you need to take to look like that?
True.
And, do you know what I mean? And that's what scares me, because that trickles down to the masses. You see people walking around taking this and taking that because they think that's what other people are doing, and because people are getting bigger and bigger. Bodybuilding is not about, it's about, look, if you decided to not reward the mass monsters, people will come in a little bit more refined.
Yeah.
But because you reward them, that's what it's about. But then again, you got to think about the fact that bodybuilding is a freak show. People want to see freaks. You don't want to go, do you know what I mean? People want to see freaks. So they're saying that they're giving them freaks. That's it.
Well, that's the thing. Like when Sean Roden won, Sean Roden's got a nice looking physique.
Yes.
But people complained. People complained about that. Like, there's a lot of that about
I know. But recently he's one that when he won the Olympia, I'm like, yes, I like that physique. What's his name? Fariza competed against him a few times. He had that. He looked really good, and then he lost the symmetry a bit because he went for size. I think because supply. People want to see that, so give it to them.
Yeah, like the average size weight on stage now is like 250 to 260.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Think about it.
I mean, look at people like Sean Ray, Lee Labrada. Yeah. What did they weigh? Even Flex Wheeler, they were really light, but they looked bigger. You could see the muscle, and I think the drugs have got something to do with it as well. I don't know what people are taking now, but it is instant. It's difficult to keep your gut small when you take the insulin.
When you look at someone like Chris Bumstead in the classic, he's got a kidney autoimmune disease, so he can't take a lot of gear. So therefore, look, you take a bit, but that classic, he looked really healthy this year. You looked at big, looked nice, and he looked healthy with it. He was like,
and that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway,
no, I don't think we have anything else?
You know me, I'll chat all day if you let me. So,
I'm the same. I got lots of stories. So I always say, look, if you want me to shut up, just tell me, because I talk too much. My kids are, Dad, shut up.
No. We love stories. And yeah, thank you so much for taking time from your Sunday to come on to our.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome.
Yeah,
it's good to talk to you guys. Yeah.
What time is it there?
6:30 in the UK.
yeah.
Wow, it's that late. Okay.
Well,
it's bedtime.
But if you ever come out here, please do let us know. That would be amazing to meet you in person.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm planning on coming back. I just want my daughter's getting married next year. I want to try and come to Kenya. Maybe one of the things that I want to plan afterwards as a present, because I want them to see, my kids to see Starehe, because that's what it's a very important thing to me, the school.
Just let us know. We'll try and get some stuff sorted out.
Cool.
Good reception from the Kenyan bodybuilding world.
Good. I'm really glad there is a bodybuilding world in Kenya, because there wasn't one when I left.
Natural talent's insane. Like the genetic natural talent is like guys who are not doing gear, who look like they are. They look like better than most of the guys in the UK that are pounding.
Absolutely. Do you notice? Ghana is the same. You see some incredible physiques. I'm like, what you can. I mean, I train a lot of young lads from Nigeria, and they come in sometimes, and they say to me, "I'm natural." And some of the PTs were like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am," because I used to look like that when I was natural. It's a genetic thing. There's nothing you can do about it. You are giving it or not.
Yeah, nowadays it's like, are you sure? It's never.
No one believes anyone. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's like no one believes it. So everyone is. It's the narrative now. Like all famous Instagrammers and.
I'm just waiting, because Africa will produce a Mr. Olympia straight out of from Africa. It's nearly done it with William Bonac, but not quite, and probably won't now. But with natural talent in, if you can then try and get it all together, like Lionel Bayeki, he's got a beautiful physique, but he's never got that package together. He's never brought conditioning. When that all comes together, there's guys I've seen in the street lifting concrete weights in under tin roof that look better than most of the guys competing in the UK. So
absolutely. I mean, I've seen it. I was walking in, I get videos from little, guys, young lads in Ghana. Yeah. And look at them, I'm thinking, damn, they got so much muscle, and the muscle bellies. Yeah. And you look at them and you think, I could make that person into a champion. But obviously, unfortunately, it's not like that. Just a little bit of something, and you can see, I exploded. I got so big overnight, practically, by taking such a small amount of whatever I had to take to get where I want to get to, and I know that can be done. Sure, Africa will produce Mr. Olympia. That's coming. Like football, Africa will produce a world World Cup winner. Yeah,
coming. It's coming.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Eddie.
Thanks, Eddie.
You're welcome, guys.
Our longest podcast for sure.
Listen, take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Have a good.